You know, the concept car that was to become the Chevrolet Corvette had one, and Suzuki even stuffed one in a motorbike, but only Mazda managed to master it. I'm talking, of course, about a rotary engine. This week on Test Drive, we take a look at the rotary-powered RX8. Mazda has long had a soft spot for the rotary engine. The unit in the RX8 is the ultimate expression of the love affair. In base form, the new Renesis rotary engine develops 210 horsepower. However, the high-output engine in the GT model tested ups this to a rewarding 247 stallions. The beauty of the rotary engine is that all of its power is developed completely seamlessly, with the engine spinning up to its 9,000 RPM red line without sounding as though it's within a single rev of blowing up. Indeed, it's so smooth the car has got a built-in beep to warn you that you've just blasted through the rev limiter. All of this power is relayed to the rear wheels through a delightfully direct 6-speed manual box. The light clutch action and short shifts mean just a quick flick of the wrist grabs the next cog. It is an eminently drivable package, to say the least. You know, there is but one drawback to the rotary engine, and that is that in many respects it's very much like a very short-stroke inline four-cylinder engine in that it just does not develop very much torque at low RPM. However, there is a saving grace. The very fact that it is a rotary engine means that it spins up to speed very, very quickly and therefore masks the torque deficiency very effectively. The only time you notice it? Well, if you try and peel rubber when you pull away from a stop sign, you're going to be sadly lacking. For the record, the GT develops a measly 159 pounds-feet of torque at a lofty 5,500 RPM. Thankfully, those that select the automatic version do get a moderately better 164 pounds-feet at a lower 5,000 RPM. The reworked engine is also better than any rotary before it, as it gets 20% better fuel economy and meets low-emission vehicle standards. It also develops the most power per litre of displacement on the market at the moment, easily beating the Honda S2000, the former champ. You know, when you get into the RX8, it becomes very obvious that the car was designed very much around the driver. The seats, for instance, well, they hug you without pinching. The steering wheel and the relationship between it, the seat and the pedals is just about perfect. Elsewhere, you get all the toys you want. A good sounding radio, automatic climate controls, the whole 9 yards. About the only thing to bitch about, well, it's the size of the speedo. There is no conventional sweep dial. Rather, what you've got is a little tiny digital readout. And given the speed at which this thing gets to speed, trying to keep a track of how fast you're going using that silly little digital readout is rather difficult. Dynamically, the RX8 is well endowed. A combination of double wishbones up front and a 5-link design in back forms the basic suspension, with gas-filled shocks, coil springs and anti-roll bars at both ends. The design is exceptionally well balanced for two important reasons. First, there is nothing of significant weight outside the wheelbase, which reduces the risk of a spin, and second, when compared to the RX7, the 8's centre of gravity is 40 millimeters lower. Factor in the 50-50 front-to-rear weight distribution and you have the makings of a real go-kart. Through the pylons, the RX8 was picture perfect, running the course as quickly as any car ever tested. Access to the rear seat of the RX8 is very simple thanks to this second rear hinge door. Once you get in, well, you'll find plenty of toe room, plenty of knee room and abundant headroom. About the only thing I don't like, and it really does show up on a longer trip, is the fact that everything seems to close in on you. This headrest seems to come back, and because the window in the door is rather small, well, you tend to feel a little claustrophobic. Stopping power comes from a strong set of vented discs and the latest anti-lock system. It gets 2 thumbs up. The first for the balanced pedal feel, the second for being almost completely devoid of brake fade, even after repeated high-speed stops. Dynamic stability control is also offered on the GT. Thankfully, the system can be turned off when desired. Pressing the button once allows a little tail action before it steps in to save the day. However, holding the button for 7 seconds completely disengages the system. Now, this is one of the few cars where this is actually possible, and so a well-deserved hats off to Mazda for having the balls to go for it. You know, the RX8 is a car that just does not conform to the norm. It's radical in the handling department, radical in its style, and radical in its use of a rotary engine. But best of all, you know, it's radical in the pricing department. At just under 40 large for this GT model, well, very few cars can touch it when it comes to the bang for the buck.